Good evening and welcome to the Gathering in Quarantine. Hi, Mike. Can't hear you.
Oh, I forgot to unmute. Hey, Terry.
There you go. Nice to see you and hear you.
It always a pleasure to see you too.
Oh, that's awesome. I want to welcome all the viewers and I want to wish everybody well, especially this week before Thanksgiving. We have such a big holiday season coming up. And quite frankly, a really different holiday season in 2020. So we know we're all going to make the best of it. And it's going to start right here tonight, right now, with a Native American Thanksgiving dinner. And
I can't wait. I'm so excited. I'm so excited because when you talked about doing this, I was thinking the normal. Well, my normal is different. We'll talk about that later. But I was thinking a traditional Thanksgiving. But this one here is the original native. And explain that for us.
Exactly. And if I could just sidetrack a minute,
Yeah.
see my necklace.
Oh yeah.
My necklace is from Gay Head on the Vineyard, one of my favorite places in the world
Yes.
of all time, as you know.
Well, you know that. Yeah.
It was made by the Wampanoag Indians, and they were at the first Thanksgiving in Plymouth. And so they most likely brought the seafood to the dinner, and the pilgrims brought the fowl, the turkey,
Sure.
and everything else. So a couple of years ago, more than a couple, my parents, one Thanksgiving, celebrated Thanksgiving this way. And they had this fish plus more because that's how they did things.
Sure.
But I thought it would be a nice way to, have a show and give a nod and tribute to the Native Americans in the country and the area by doing this dinner.
Well, I tell you, I'm all excited for it because this is definitely different than what I would ever be used to.
Oh, sure, absolutely. And what's on the menu, you might ask?
Oh, well, sure.
Steamed mussels, boiled lobsters. We're going to have baked stuffed shrimp and scallops, and I'll explain that later, and Native American cornmeal cookies.
That interests me.
Yeah.
I'm dying to see it. I saw the ingredients and I'm dying to see you put that together.
Okay. Well, we're going to start with the baked stuffed shrimp and scallops. And this is really a nod to my parents because my mother created this dish for that Thanksgiving that she was, giving homage to the Native Americans. And what we have here is 1 pound of sea scallops, excuse me, 1 pound of raw shrimp. We have 3 cups of plain breadcrumbs, 2 cloves of garlic chopped, 1 small onion chopped, 2 tablespoons of parsley. Excuse me. I'm getting a tickle in my throat. And we have a 1/4 cup of melted butter. And if you don't mind, I'm going to pop a Ricola in my mouth.
Well, it is that time of year, and I understand because I get the same thing, and that's why I made sure I filled up with a nice cold glass of water because it's so dry right now.
Absolutely. And in fact, I'm going to get my water. Thank you very much.
There you go.
If that'll help. Excuse me, guys. Woo. So, what we're going to do is I'm going to mix the stuffing right in the pan I'm going to cook it in.
Okay.
Bake it in. So, here are the breadcrumbs. I'm adding the garlic. I'm adding the onions. I'm adding parsley. And I wouldn't recommend using flavored breadcrumbs because you want the flavor of the seafood and the garlic and the onions to really season this dish. Now, I have the shrimp. I'm going to pour the shrimp right in. Now, the scallops, as you might be able to see, these are sea scallops. Aren't they beautiful?
But those are big. Those are very big.
They are. And sea scallops are very big compared to the bay scallops, which are very small. So what I like to do, I like to cut them in quarters so they're bite size. And I'll just put them in there. And very easy knife skills here, Mike. Nothing to be nervous about.
Nope, nope. I'm not worried about those.
And depending on the size of the sea scallop, you might want to just cut them in half. And you're asking, well, why not just use bay scallops because they're smaller? Sea scallops have a different taste to them, different flavor. It is different. And I find they're sweeter and just delicious. I mean, the bay scallops are too. But, and I'm going to put this liquid right in there. Now, I'm going to actually wash my hands real quick. Of course, as you know, like for our meat, seafood, it's the same. I'm going to turn up my heat on my pots for the steamers and the lobster. Okay. I want that getting a rolling boil. So here, we're just going to mix it up. How easy is this?
Well, it's real easy, and I like the fact that you do it in the same dish that you're going to cook them in, too, so that's nice. So you're not wasting a single ounce of anything.
That's right. Absolutely. And then, once that all gets mixed up, I'm going to take my melted butter and drizzle it just over the top, trying to get together the dish and the butter, so it will help with the golden brown. And here you have it.
And that's it.
And I'm going to put this in the oven, and this will go in for 20-25 minutes. Okay. I just want to make sure. Yeah. See, I'm not a baker, and I know that pan fits in my oven, but I had to make sure that it did. You get that, right?
Oh, I get it.
Okay. So, speaking of the cookies, I'm going to move this over here for the next dish, which is the Native American cornmeal cookies. Now, what I have here is a 1/3 teaspoon of salt, 3/4 cup of sugar, 3/4 cup of butter. And then I have 1/2 cup of honey, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, 2 eggs beaten. And then I have 1/2 cup of cornmeal, 1 3/4 cup of flour, and 2 tablespoons of baking powder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cream the butter and the sugar and the salt. And, you know, I was going to use electric beater, But then I thought, no, how did they do it back then?
Right.
Right? So this is how I'm going to do it.
And so that's just softened room temperature butter,
It is.
which is my favorite. One of the things that I like to do is I love it. I buy this expensive butter dish just so I can leave my butter out all year round.
Absolutely.
Summertime, because
Absolutely, because you do not need to refrigerate your butter.
correct. And what's nice about that too, it's nice and spreads easy on a piece of toast
Yeah.
without ripping it apart or just like setting a dab on there, like letting it melt. Hopefully the toast is hot enough to melt it and get it. There's nothing like nice softened butter.
Absolutely.
In just about every recipe, you have to warm up the butter.
Yeah.
So it's nice that you get to actually have it out and ready.
And do you see?
Yeah, nice and easy.
Yes. So now I'm going to add the vanilla. I'm going to add the eggs. And I'm going to add the honey. Boy. And I was thinking about how they may have cooked these. And I was thinking, I wonder if they use slates in the sun or
Yeah, they
over
could.
fire.
Right. They could have made some kind of oven, like a fire, brick fired or a wood fired oven.
Yeah. I am mixing this. This is pretty interesting. I don't know if you can see this.
Yeah, that looks a little softer than the regular cookie consistency. Correct.
Yes, and that's because we haven't added the dry ingredients.
There you go. Right.
And I'm not a baker, so
We know. We know.
it's nice.
And you do so well.
Right?
Yeah, I know, but you always seem to make it work for a person who don't bake. And I'm the same way. I'm not a baker too. You give me a box with some directions, and yeah, I can do okay with it. But there's a real art to it that you got to respect that the people that can make the cake from scratch, and it's amazing. It really is.
My rings are coming off.
Oh yeah.
Uh-oh. Serious, folks. So now, see, I almost dumped everything right in there, which you're not supposed to do. I'm adding the flour
Okay.
and then the cornmeal and the baking powder. And I wonder, 2 teaspoons. I'm hoping I used enough baking powder. As a matter of fact, I might look like that, honestly, and forgive me, because I had a big day yesterday. Kind of a little, I'm just gonna add a little more.
Okay. What does baking powder do? I don't
It
understand.
helps make things rise,
It's okay.
but it kind of makes you think, well, what did they have back then, right?
I'm not sure.
They have baking powder, and this is an authentic Native American recipe, but maybe it was slightly altered during that first Thanksgiving. Because honestly, they had to have had sweets.
Oh, sure. But I'm sure they also didn't go to the store to buy all that.
Exactly. Yep, I got that. Okay. Okay, so, and everything I'm baking tonight is at 350. So I'm going to mix this up. And I'd say the shrimp and scallops have been in 5 minutes. So I'm gonna just put another 20 minutes on there.
Okay.
Maybe a little less or a little more because I forgot to set the timer. Then I'm going to mix this all up. And as I'm mixing, I can feel it's starting to feel like a batter. And a beater may come in handy, but I want it to be somewhat authentic as to how it may have been done years ago.
Oh, sure. Yeah. There was no electric beaters, obviously. Even the hand crank beaters weren't even around
Right.
for that. So they definitely had to rely on doing everything by hand. And yeah, that looks like dough to me.
And you know what a kick I get, right? Oh, and it feels wonderful. So I'm just going to,
So these here you just put in as balls, which will wind up flattening out, I'm assuming.
yep, I would think.
I mean, the best cookies I ever did were the ones that I had to cut out of a tube and just make little slices of them and lay them on there. I was never any good at making homemade cookies. Unlike my ex-wife, who did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
She was the baker. She could bake anything. She was amazing.
Well, I did cookies like you,
Yeah.
and that's what Chelsea and I did. Of course, she
So
had Aunt who every Christmas she would invite Chelsea to make Christmas cookies, and they would make dozens and dozens. And she was like my mother. Now, my mother did it all,
sure.
but Aunt Judy, Chelsea's Aunt Judy, made wonderful Christmas cookies, and Chelsea used to love getting together with her.
Well, yeah, and of course, this kind of thing is the one that you do involve the kids with
Yes,
because they can help out with it. It's nice and easy.
and
Uh,
decorating, they have so much fun with that.
oh, sure. So now's a good time to talk about. So, what are your Thanksgiving plans under COVID? What are you gonna do?
Under COVID, I am having it with my brother. I'm making a big turkey like I always would.
Yeah,
I'll send probably half of that to my other brother, who, we can't get together, but he's single
yeah,
and would appreciate my Thanksgiving dinner as he would have in the past been here.
sure.
Yeah. He
Well, this year here, like normal years, I get together with my family, and my family's doing the same thing. They're all staying home, but I get to share it this year with my work family. So I'm at the fire station, and we all plan. Everyone's in charge of. One guy's in charge of the turkey. The other one's in charge of certain sides. I got the appetizer platter, which is going to be a veggie platter, and I have the dessert, which I ordered frozen ice cream pies from
love it.
Hop Yo in Hopkinton, which did a fundraiser for our schools. So you get to buy pies and choose what schools you want to give the donation to. So we bought a couple of pies and donated to the Marathon School and to the class of 2021.
Awesome.
So people listening, you can go to Hop Yo's website, click on a link, and you can get yourself a nice ice cream pie
Sounds wonderful,
and
Mom.
support your school system. Absolutely.
So you can see that was perfect because I used it all.
There you go. Yeah.
I'm just going to wash my hands, get all this dough off. Then I'll pop these in the oven, get those going. And then I'll get on to the steamers and the lobster. And then I guess we'll have a little downtime.
Just a little bit.
We'll have a little downtime because then then they just steam and everything else is done. Okay, so these go into 12, 15 minutes. I want to say got 19 on the clock. I'm going to put them in.
Okay.
What I'll do is I'll take off a couple. I'm going to turn on the oven light so I can keep a watch. And I've got put my jewelry back on. I've got my boiling water for my lobsters, which are still alive, and my mussels.
Excellent.
Yeah, so I'm going to put my 2 sticks of butter into the pan, and I'm going to start melting that on a slow boil.
So, what is Chelsea doing for Thanksgiving?
Me and Ben are going to his family's house in New Orleans.
Wow. Now, what kind of is it? The New Orleans style down there, or what? What do they do?
They do traditional, but I mean, to be in New Orleans, right? You've got
so what would it be?
you've got everything, right? So, and I've never been. So when they get married, they'll be getting married down there.
Oh, of course.
So if I don't go before they get married, that would be a wonderful, wonderful event. I have to say, so excited for her. I'm gonna put these.
You do that. I need to fix something here, so keep going.
Yep. I'm gonna put these mussels in this little steamer dish. And you see these fit really nicely. And this steamer dish fits right on top. And I have to do this so that I can get it on the pan correctly. So I'm going to take this off. And this water is boiling. So you would not do it like this. But it's because I have so much going on here. I have to do it like this. So then I'm going to tent this. And this came with the pan. So I do my steamers in here. And you can pile them up as high as you like. But you want to tent it. You want to put this back on the burner. And that will go for 20, 25 minutes or so.
Now, can you over steam steamers?
Well, I guess you could. And mussels, you definitely could. But you don't really want to do that because they'll get tough.
That's what happens. So it is possible to over steam.
Yes.
Anything. Okay.
It is. Now these are going to wait over here for the steamers to be done. Then we have the lobsters. Now you all saw me put them to sleep. So, oh, look at this little guy. So sorry, little guy. So you're not going to see me do that. So I'm just going to plop them in, and you plop them in head first, and you never slow boil a lobster. You've got to pop them into boiling water so they die immediately.
Right.
Because you don't want them to suffer, even though they have no brain.
Right. Right. I mean, everything's still, some kind of feelings or whatever. I get that. And if you did it the other way too, you can hear them make noise too.
Yep.
And you don't want that because that's bad.
Okay, there you go.
So how big are those lobsters?
Those lobsters, they were like, and it's very hard these days to find big lobsters. So they're about 1.25 pounds, a little bigger. That's why I get 3, so that we both get one and we can split the other one.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay, so the cookies are flattening out.
Find it out. Okay. Yeah.
So that's good. I've got my butter melting. Now, I've got 9 minutes left on the cookies. So that means we're going to leave those lobsters and steamers in until maybe 10 of.
10 of. Yeah. That's what I got on my clock. 10 of.
All right. All right. So we're kind of like at a dull spot. So guess
Did you
what?
get the wine ready?
I do have 2 glasses, but
Oh, well.
that's enough for now.
You can pretend to fill mine for me.
There you go.
So let's talk about Thanksgiving dinners. Traditionally, and I think I told you this story many a times before, that I grew up Italian. I'm half Italian, half Armenian, but I grew up on my mother's side with
Love it.
cuisine. And most of the holidays were there. And I don't mind telling people, my father's mother didn't like my mother because he didn't marry an Armenian woman, he married an Italian woman. So we weren't close to that side of the family. So I didn't get to understand my Armenian heritage till I was an adult.
Right.
So as a child, honest to goodness, I thought everybody had raviolis and meatballs for Thanksgiving.
Love it.
Because that's what we had. It was always homemade raviolis, all the meats, the sausage, brajol, the meatballs, everything like that. We did have a turkey, just like our Easter dinners. We had a ham, but those were always off to the side.
Yeah.
Our main course was the Italian dinner,
Yep.
and then afterwards cleaning up and people settling, and now we're getting hungry again. Then we start picking at the turkey. So it was like I didn't realize what a traditional Thanksgiving dinner was until I got married. And my in laws, Joe and Doris, which made a very, very traditional Thanksgiving dinner. The turkey with the fixings, mashed potatoes, creamed carrots, the corn, creamed onions,
Stuffing.
cranberry sauce. And he always made his sausage stuffing, which I tried.
I've never had sausage stuffing. I have to tell you.
I tried 5 times to duplicate it and didn't even come close.
Was it good though?
His was fantastic.
Wow. Okay.
And so my first Thanksgiving with my in-laws, of course, I show up and he knows me being Italian. He made the full boat traditional meal, but the man also made raviolis and meatballs on the side for me. Everybody got served the regular, but he served me the raviolis and meatballs.
Oh, I love that, Mike.
Which was great, which it was a big joke, but that showed you how much he cared.
Absolutely.
And,
love it.
But I tell you, some of my best Thanksgiving dinners, the traditional, came from my in-laws. It was awesome.
Yep.
And how about you? What did you do growing up? What was yours like?
That's always so special, right? The memories that will always stick with you.
Oh, all the time. All the time. And I miss it. And sometimes when I'll go see the kids on Thanksgiving, if I'm around, and I'll stop by the house where their mother's making it, she duplicates a lot of their recipes. And even though I ate, I'll still grab something to eat because it reminds me of them,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, my mother always had the traditional Thanksgiving, but she always had that pan of lasagna on the side.
Oh,
Like you,
lasagna.
the meatballs and the sausages. Um, so it was not unusual for you to have something with sauce on it on your plate.
Oh, sure.
But basically, and I remember that the sauce and the turkey and everything else, and it was like, boy, just beautiful. So lasagna, yeah, I have spoken about my lasagna. My mom's how it used to stand this high. It was
Right.
just amazing. And when I make it to this day, I make it that way. Um, and being Italian, right? You do have all these traditions. Easter, right? We always had a leg of lamb, and I still have a leg of lamb. And yeah, Christmas prime rib,
Oh, yeah.
forest style. With the
Yep.
bones and this big, and
Now, did you do like for Christmas? Did you do the seven fishes?
I do for New Year's
Christmas Eve?
Eve.
Oh, you do that for New Year's Eve? We did that.
Absolutely.
That was
Well,
big for us Christmas Eve.
that's when you're supposed to do it. Oh, I meant Christmas Eve.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Yep. So I do the seven fishes before that, and then um, for Christmas dinner, the prime rib. I always make my broccoli mold, roasted potatoes, my cheesecake. Always my cheesecake for
Cheesecake.
Christmas.
Sure.
Yeah. So now for Thanksgiving, Chelsea, and especially of late, past few years, Chelsea's made pies. So it's like, great, you make the pies. And I've got pictures of her holding the pies, and they're beautiful. So now I guess I'm gonna have to make a pie, and I'll make a pie or two
Yeah.
maybe. But and years before when I've made pies, I always buy the pre-made crusts. But now
Right.
that I've had this show seriously, and I've done so much baking on it, um, it kind of motivates me to go ahead and make my own crust because it's so simple.
It is. That is one of the simpler things to make is a pie crust.
Yeah.
It really is. And it's what you do with it afterwards. I learned that, like the artwork when you top
Yes.
the pie,
Yes.
whether it's the apple pie that you do what do you call it when you
The
crisscross it?
lettuce, the
The what?
lattice, the
Yes.
lattice top.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, or that, or the when you make the blueberry pie, you get the little cuts in the middle. It has to be just right. Whatever. That's the kind of thing that really defines a pie is the top. I
Oh,
learned that.
you gotta smell these cookies.
Oh, that's what
Oh,
that's what kills me. I can't wait for the vaccine to come out so I can start smelling this stuff.
oh my God, absolutely. And it's so funny because as I've said before, the older I'm getting, the more I'm enjoying sweets. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah. So
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. So the big thing with us with the Thanksgiving was getting the family back together. That was the one holiday more than Christmas to get the family back together was the Thanksgiving.
and what's so special about Thanksgiving? The kids come home from college and they're meeting up with their old high school buddies. And
Right.
it's a big reunion type thing.
Yeah. And one thing that we're going to miss this year here with no high school football
Yeah.
is the Thanksgiving Day game,
I
which
know.
was big reunion.
I know.
It's
Oh
oh,
my God,
it's so
these
tough.
town rivalries. Growing up in Holliston,
Yeah,
we always
yeah.
played. I have to remember who we played. I want to say Norfolk or one of those towns. I can't recall, but I
We'll
know
look that up.
Hopkinton always plays Ashland, and
Right.
it's like it's huge. Yeah, can you Google that?
I'm doing that right now.
All right.
But the
I'm trying to think. It was in the Tri Valley League, but
Westwood.
Westwood. Okay. Yeah, I knew it wasn't, no, Norfolk's near Westwood, so I was
Right.
kind of in the right area. But yeah,
Yeah, I miss it. And one of the things, excuse me, one of the big things that I missed that I will miss this year, and I've always loved about the hockey at Ashland, was the Pop Warner program was a combination of the two towns. And these kids started their football together as little kids,
yes.
and then they finish their high school careers playing each other, playing their buddies on
Love,
the opposite team. And it
love
was great. It was like pure, pure sportsmanship. And the rivalry is just phenomenal for something to last as long as it has. Now I grew up in Malden.
it.
Malden and Medford
Yeah,
is the big rivals. And
right.
they are the oldest public school, and I've used the word public school rivals.
Now, what about Chelsea and Everett?
They
Because
don't do it anymore. They stopped doing that. They used to, because of the fights that used to happen.
yeah, but if
Chelsea
you
now plays Peabody.
if you remember the Boston Patriots,
Yeah,
Boston Patriots used to play. I want to say in Chelsea.
right. They did. They played at Chelsea Stadium.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but Malden and Medford goes back to the 1800s, 1890, whatever it was. And the oldest rivalry ever is Boston English and Boston Latin. But they're
Sure.
not in a public school because you have to take a test to get in them.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
public schools, Malden and Medford is one of the oldest, and it still goes on today.
Well, I lived in Malden too, so I'm right there with you.
Blue and gold, baby, golden tornadoes.
Yeah, and the high hair tonight could be the Metha hair.
Oh, Beffa, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We don't have Aquanet anymore, so I can't do it.
Yeah, so I put 3 more minutes on the cookies because they're not as brown as I want them to be. So I'm putting them on a little longer to be a little more brown.
Yeah,
I'm gonna put the cookies out and lay them here, and then put them in the plate. I'm sorry, you're gonna ask?
well, another big tradition too. While all the cooking was going on, all the young kids, what do? They watch TV, and what's on? The Macy's Day Parade, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think is it virtual this year?
I think so. It's not going to be the same. Nothing's the same anymore. I just can't wait for this year to get over with. How bad? It's a shame. It really is.
It is.
It's a
It is
shame.
those cookies. I'm gonna let them go a little longer.
So we have. How long does it take to cook a pound and a quarter lobster?
20, 25 minutes.
And that's it.
Yeah. And you really, once you cook them, don't leave them in the water because they get mushy,
Mushy.
fall apart, the meat.
Okay.
So you want to take it out and you can throw it right in the fridge. When I was single, young, before I met my husband, I dated this guy who,
So you're talking about 10 years ago? You said what?
yeah, yeah. I dated this guy who was a fisherman. His father fished down the Cape. And anytime you went over his house, he had, you know how you've got crispers in your fridge?
Yeah.
Be filled with lobsters
Really?
all the time. They ate lobster 24/7. And I'll tell you, I loved being over there.
I tell you, I was never in, like, you know me, I'm not a big on seafood. I love my fried clams and I love my
Oh,
steamers. But the lobsters, that's a lot of work. Lobsters and crabs, to get
yeah,
at that meat, that's a lot of work.
it is, but well worth it. Well, and it gives you more time at the table talking because it takes all that work. Your mouth has to do something.
Absolutely.
So you're talking. It's like my dad would bring home, no kidding, bag this big of crabs already cooked, and we sit at the table for hours eating those crabs, Dungeness crabs,
Yeah.
and just talking. And I'll tell you what, he used to get them in Revere, at this little sea market. And every time I'm down Revere Beach to this day, and we're coming back parallel to the causeway,
Yeah.
the parkway, I should say, the Revere Beach
Parkway.
Parkway.
Yep.
I see that store, the memories just flood. You know,
Yeah.
and then he had a friend who had a house. Now, we used to rent a house in Dennisport on the water, but he had a friend who had a house down the Cape. And we would spend a lot of time at their house when we weren't at camp, right? Because for a lot of the times we were at camp up in New Hampshire. And you go and, nope, take off. You would go and they'd go out clamming and they would come home with these cherry stones. And again, just opening them up and eating them. And then, of course, we get the lobster and just wonderful times, right? And then, of course, the times on the vineyard.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, everything down there.
Most of our time being in Malden, it was never the Cape. It was always North Shore, so it was always
Oh, yeah.
Gloucester.
Oh,
You know,
yeah. Yeah.
Gloucester was the place to go, and just seeing the boats come in and out, and buying right off the boats. That's where he did a lot of his stuff, and that's what's great about being in New England is the fact that you have access to the freshest seafood.
You
Just
do.
you can go right down and buy it off the boat. No
Absolutely.
middleman.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I remember on the vineyard, you'd go and the fishermen who'd be out all night getting squid, you'd see them first thing in the morning, and the squid would be shooting out this black ink.
Yeah, yeah.
Just amazing. And then, yeah, you buy them right off the boat. Any kind of stripers. I'll tell you what, they say swordfish is the king of fish. It's striped bass.
Really.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Salmon out of the Bering Sea comes a close second, which I have been there and had.
Wow.
But the striped bass, man, oh, and that's, they only have a limited time that
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
buy it. So whenever I see it, I buy it.
That's awesome.
So I'm going to, first, I'm going to take, because time is marching on, taking out the cookies. Okay, look at these. Woo-hoo! I can bake, Mama.
Yeah, you can bake.
I'm almost done with the shrimp and scallops. I'm going to let these go for a little bit. I'm going to take the lobsters out.
So one thing I did ask you, did you have to grease that cookie sheet?
So can
For
you see
cookies?
this?
Oh wow, yeah, those are great.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, when I used to have big birthday parties, we'd have like 30 lobsters cooking. And there's nothing like seeing all those lobsters on a platter. And then everybody grabbing one and sitting down. Leave this here. I'm gonna bring this over. No, these aren't for you, my cats.
They're eyeballing those.
Yeah. And I'll take the steamers off. Not steamers, mussels, I should say. Shut that off. And then I'll let the baked stuffed shrimp go a little bit.
I think you have about 5 more minutes on those.
Look at this.
So did you have to grease that or did you spray the pan?
I did.
That's it, right? Yep.
Yep. And look, you don't even have to cool these down. And that must have been what they had in mind, right? It's like, bake them and hit the road.
Get them while they're hot. There's nothing like having cookies delivered to you and they're still warm. It's like, oh, it's the best feeling ever.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm going to taste a little bit. Now, here's a little thing. My cornmeal, I got Quaker oat cornmeal, and it was not as coarse as you would get if you got it in the bag, bush yellow cornmeal.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you read some reviews, people say, yeah, it was a great recipe, but it was gritty. You don't want gritty for a cookie.
No, you don't want gritty nothing.
Yeah. So, beautiful. Beautiful. I'm going to get this out of the way. Woo! Then I'm going to bring this center front, right? I'm going to need this for my scallop. Oh, this is beautiful. Look at this. Right?
Wow.
And then, if you will, you can drizzle more melted butter or serve it with melted butter on the side and dip the seafood in it.
Yeah, that's one big thing I like with having my steamers or whatever. It's all the dipping. It's all about the dipping.
Here's some melted butter. Okay. So we got that taken care of. Now, actually, running out of real estate here. Put that there. Put these over here. Then bring out the mussels. Maybe I can do it like this without creating a disaster.
I'm sure you'll be okay.
Oh, and they smell like the ocean. I'm going to let these cool off for a minute, and then I'm going to show you. I got to taste one. I get to show you a little trick on how to eat these. It's a little trick from Paris. We're always thinking, right? Those Parisians.
Oh yeah, well, they've been around a little bit.
They have been around a little bit.
They've been around a little bit. So what's the trick?
So the trick is you take one of these.
Yeah.
You eat one, right?
Yeah.
Really good. Then you take this. You see? You use it as a clip.
Wow, like a pair of tongs.
Yep. Empty. That was that one. So there you go. Right? Beautiful.
That's
Now,
way too easy. That's way too easy.
and here's what I do. See those little mussels on the shell?
Yeah, yeah.
Ears as well. I always pick them off and eat those too. Because
Wow.
they eat and they're delicious. And they all have them. So I never let that go. And it just goes to show how much is sustainable, right? Like a lobster. You
Right.
eat the body. And I can remember cooking and having those big dinner parties and having 30 lobsters and people not wanting to take the time with their bodies, I would take those leftover bodies and it would take me all afternoon to pick out all the meat, but I would pick it all out and throw it in a sauce. Madonna me. Beautiful. Mwah.
Yeah, there is nothing. Yeah, I tell you, I enjoy one of my favorite sauces is like a clam sauce. But anytime you throw seafood in a sauce, the flavor is it's just amazing. It beats any meat sauce.
True.
It's just great. It's just fantastic.
And it's so different. And then when you throw squid in there, scungili, calamari, you've got a whole different taste. And then when you throw anchovies in there, that's your salt factor.
That's
So,
just yeah,
we'll get to the point, you really don't have to, cook with salt and pepper. You really don't, because the natural flavors are just abundant. They're beautiful.
yeah.
You know,
I agree with you on that. You got to be careful with that salt. That salt
oh,
is
yeah,
because you overdo it and that throws it off, and there's no fixing it. Once you do too much, there's nothing's gonna fix that. You
right,
know.
right.
But that's fantastic. So the one thing that I noticed, no salad. Why no salad? Do you think?
Well, because I don't think the Native Americans brought a salad to the Thanksgiving. That's why no salad. They would
Eh,
have brought all this, right?
And we're talking about the first Thanksgiving, so they
Yeah,
probably didn't have the
yeah,
crops growing and
exactly.
right. But do you think? And I'm not sure. I'm only asking because I don't know. Do you think salad was a thing back then? Even forget about coming to a new country, but do you think in England was salad a thing?
I believe it was, yeah, because they were growing it. They were
Okay,
growing it, right?
right. I don't know.
Yeah.
I,
And I have one of my cookbooks from Sturbridge Village. And so I will do a colonial dinner.
okay,
And that'll be another thing. But I'm sure they definitely had leafy greens back then.
right,
Absolutely.
right. Because that is interesting because I was very surprised not to see any kind of salad tonight, but it makes sense.
Yeah,
It does make sense, you know.
it has to. It has to make sense, Mike.
Yeah, it being down at Plymouth, seafood makes all the sense of the world. I would never thought when you sent me the menu, it's like, what? You know, really?
This
But then you think about it, you're in Plymouth.
necklace is older than Chelsea,
Wow.
and she's 30.
I originally thought that was part of your top, your sweater,
No,
but
definite
it's a necklace.
Wampanoag Indian shell necklace. And you go up to Gay Head, right? And you go into, you go up the hill, and they've got the shops, and there's the
Yeah,
lighthouse and the restaurants. I mean, you have to buy a couple. In fact, I do have others, different colors. But I
sure.
thought tonight the blue against the black would,
Oh, it pops right out.
yeah,
It's popping right out. So now you get to enjoy all this stuff, you and your brother,
I do. And
which is
I
nice.
get to have a normal Thanksgiving next week,
Right.
which I'm so looking forward to. And if anybody wants to see how I do Thanksgiving, go to hcam.tv, The Gathering, and go to Terry's Two Thanksgivings,
Yes.
and you'll see how I had a Thanksgiving in New Jersey and then raced back and had another one here. And pretty much, they're pretty much the same. Different people, different experiences, but the food is pretty much the same. And so there's something special about Thanksgiving turkey dinner.
Right.
I'm so excited for next week.
Yeah, it's hard too. I mean, hopefully this is something that people would like to maybe do for theirs, where not a lot of families are getting together. Not people are coming home. People are isolating. Kids are staying either in school or or just not coming back, and it's small, and you don't have to cook a big bird that's going to stick around for a week. You don't have to cook all those big fixings or whatever. You did this here in less than an hour. It you have, I know you have more food than the two of you are going to do tonight. So, but it's it is I think it's something different, and I'm very intrigued by it. And
Oh,
I wish I enjoyed seafood like you did.
absolutely. And according to me, this is my main course. These would be my appetizers.
Right.
So I'd start with these, little bit of these, little bit of that, and then definitely dive into the lobsters, and then finish off with a cookie or two.
Sure.
These are these like beautiful?
Yeah, the awesome. I'm gonna try making those. I get the recipe down. I'm gonna try making. I'll make it for the guys at the firehouse. So, by the way, I know you went with a white wine. What kind of wine did you choose tonight?
I chose a Sauvignon Blanc because I love dry wine.
I know you like the dry wine. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, uh, so we're back in 2 weeks.
Yes, we are.
What,
And
what,
then
what are you thinking?
we're into December.
Yes, we're into December.
Right. So I might be making a cozy dinner,
Ooh,
something to welcome the winter, a welcoming winter dinner. That sounds nice, huh?
that sounds
Oh,
fantastic.
that down.
I don't know
I'll
if you
write
see.
that down.
I don't know if you see, but the cat just jumped on the counter looking for some stuff.
Oh my God.
That's awesome. I
Oh,
love,
you're gonna get it.
I
Oh,
love the
awful.
love the professional photobombing. So yeah, something cozy because even though it don't look it, we could be snowed in a couple of weeks, and it's worthy of that.
Oh,
What kind of stuff do you make in the winter for yourself that you enjoy?
oh, cozy stuff. Chili, short ribs, chicken, um, Italian dishes, anything that's comforting because I don't know about you, but I'm not really fond of the cold. I mean, it wakes you up.
It
Because
does.
if I had to live in Florida or Southern California year round where the weather, it's like sun-baked brains. And I'm not being disrespectful for anybody, but it's like the cold wakes you up. You have no choice but to be awake and alert.
Right. Right.
So I need comfort for that. I've always had SAD, seasonal affective disorder, seasonal, yeah,
Yeah.
whatever that is. I always had to go to the tanning booths to get my dose of the sun because my vitamin D was never enough.
Well, my go-to in the wintertime was always your casseroles. Always the comfort stuff, the warming stuff. And I
Yes.
always love making biscuits. That's the only time that I really
Oh,
make biscuits on a regular
nice.
basis.
That's awesome.
It's fantastic. It was always fun. But so listen, we're at the end of the show, and I want to thank you again, and I wish you, your brother Chelsea, everyone a very happy Thanksgiving.
And I
Uh,
want to wish you and your girls and your family and friends and all the viewers and your family and friends a happy Thanksgiving. And as always, here's the HCAM. We love you.
and HCAM loves you, Terry. Thank you very much, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. I can't wait to get the menu from you.
As always, and I can't wait for you to be back here filming.
I know. I'm dying to do it. It's
All
gonna be
right,
soon.
we're
All
done.
right, Terry. We'll
Bye,
see you. Take
guys.
care. Bye, guys.
Happy Thanksgiving. All right, let's get this music going.